Hi everyone. So in this assignment you are going to have to review how to summarize a text. So we are now at the point of the course where the actual term itself is over. Assignment 12 was the last major assignment of the term, and we are now moving into your final 30%, your final assessment. Normally exams would be part of this, but because we're switching to this online learning style, all of this final 30% will just be projects related to things that you learned earlier in the course. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning and review how to summarize a text. Okay, so in this assignment, you're going to summarize a newspaper article. The text of this article can be found starting on page 2 of this document. So if you just go down here, you can find the beginning of this article. So it's a recent article, May 19th, and it has to do with Ontario starting to reopen its economy as the pandemic progresses. Okay, so to summarize the article, if you remember, there are three main methods that we use. We have the 5W method, we have the chomp method, and we have the circle method. And you can use whichever one of these you want to summarize your article. But please make use of the sample templates provided to help you organize your work. So this is going to involve going back to Google Classroom and finding these templates. So let me show you where they are. Okay, so I'm in the classwork section on Google Classroom, and we are going to go all the way down to our first topic, summarizing text, ESL E, and you are going to make use of this section to help you remember how these processes work. So if we click here, summarizing news report, you can see that we have a couple of files here. It might not work for you unless you download it, but in any case, we have a sample summary here using the 5W method. So this tells you how to do the 5W method to summarize your text. And this is the template. So again, it doesn't look very good in this format. If you download it, it should look better. But you have a template and you have a description of the method here. So if you want to use the 5W method, please look at lesson 1 under summarizing text. Download those files to help you. And I would recommend using the 5W method for this assignment because it is a newspaper article. You can find another sample here. So this gives you an article, and these are some samples here that we have of student work. So again, if you remember, this was from an activity that we did way back when, where some of these samples had problems and some of them were better examples. So if you remember doing that activity, that might help. If you don't remember that activity or you weren't here at this time, this section probably isn't going to be that helpful to you. In that case, focus on lesson 1. So this will tell you how to do the 5W method. If you do not want to do the 5W method, again, you've got lesson 3 about the circle method. You also have a template that you can use to help you work through the circle method, and you have some samples and some instructions. Same thing for the chomp method. Okay, I think the circle method, just looking at it here quickly, has something about a works cited. I'm not going to require you complete a works cited for this. All you'll need to do is just summarize the article. Okay, so let's go back to the Word document. Okay, so we're back here. So hopefully now you know where to find material to help you remember how to summarize a newspaper article or any kind of article for that matter. So again, you can use any of the three methods. I would suggest using 5W, but if you don't want to use that, you want to use something else, feel free. We've already covered this. The marking scheme for this review assignment is here. This is not going to be a major assignment. The main purpose of this is just to get your brain working in this mode again, so that when you see text summaries on your final assessments that are part of your final 30%, that you won't be going into it having completely forgotten everything. This is just really a refresher. So yes, I am going to mark it, but it's not going to be worth very much. This is the same marking scheme from your actual summarizing text summary test. So if you remember your unit test from that unit, we had this marking scheme. So there is something in this marking scheme about a reflective paragraph, because you also had to write a reflective paragraph on that test. Don't worry about that. There's no reflective paragraph, so this part will not actually count. All you have to do, again, is just summarize the article. So some quick pointers to help you with this, some quick things that you should remember. So remember that your summary should be at most 1/3 the length of the original article. So if you don't want it to be too long, okay? So if it's less than 1/3 of the original article, that might be okay. Some articles contain a lot of extra words and a lot of extra details that really don't need to be there. A lot of them are repetitive. In that case, you might be able to go well below 1/3. But for newspaper articles, this is not always the case. So you might be looking at more around 1/3 for the length of your original article. Your summary should capture all important information, but will necessarily leave out some details. So the task of the summary is in part finding out what's important and what can be left out. There's no way that you're going to be able to include everything and fit within this 1/3 length. So it's expected that you're going to drop some of the information from this article. However, you should be able to determine what the important information is and include it. So again, if you focus on the 5 W's, right, the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the actual newspaper article, which you can find in that template, then that should help you figure out what's important. Your summary should not contain your opinion. Okay, so it's just a straight summary of somebody else's piece of writing, so don't put your own opinion into it. And also, it should not contain additional facts not present in the original article. So again, this sounds really easy, right? Why would you add extra facts? But this can be a bit tricky because if you read a sentence incorrectly, or even if you read a sentence correctly, but the way that you summarize it, the words that you choose to use, if you slightly misunderstand their meaning, you might say something that's a little bit different from what is said in the original article. So, for example, if somebody was to say something like, many businesses were closed, and you were to say something like, all businesses were closed, there's a subtle difference there. You're not saying the exact same thing, you're saying something different. So be careful about your word choice. This is why you want to read the article a couple of times, maybe 2 times before you actually start summarizing anything. This is why you want to organize your summary carefully and why you want to edit your work. So there's really not much else to say here. Please go back to Google Classroom and review the method that you would like to use. Again, just pick one and review that. If you want to review all 3, feel free, but you really only need to review one. And then once you're comfortable with the method, use the template that is found in Google Classroom to create your outline and then summarize your article. All right, that's all I have to say for now. Have a good day.